Welcome. We bid you welcome, John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. I'm shed the leather jacket, but I'm still a little chilly down here in Alabama because it's like 20 degrees or something dumb like that, which is weird for the South. But hey, we're getting warmer temperatures soon. We got John the Music Nut, my faithful co-captain. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well, my brother.
Oh
How about
my.
you?
I'll tell you. I'm excited because this series we call the Year of the Priest. We have our first of going to be a few different guest stars. You've seen him on Sea of Tranquility. You've seen him on his own channel, All or Nada with Jack Toledano. Jack Toledano, how you doing, my friend?
Excellent. Thank you for having me on. This is really cool, and you're tapping into some good information. Because if there's one thing I know about, it's these guys.
Yep.
Judas
I
Priest.
I bet if there's any band that you could, if you had to talk about an album, this would be a band. This would, I bet. I'm going to ask you this, Jack. To you, your go-to band would be like mine was Wasp. I bet Judas Priest is probably your go-to band. Would that be
Yes,
about
yes.
right?
Well,
Okay.
I have like a tiered system. So my top three bands are Priests, one of them, Kiss is another, and I don't know how they fit in, but Jethro Tull. That's my prog
Well,
side.
hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
And
Nothing wrong.
then my second tier, we could talk about it another time. But
There you go. All right. Well, but Jack was one of the first people because I knew how big of a fan he was. So I thought if we're gonna do some spice this series up a little bit, I got to bring some guests on. And Jack was one of the first people I reached out to and thought of. So again, I want to thank you. Wanted to thank you for doing that. Today we take a little look at Stained Class, the fourth album by Judas Priest with let's 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 just get in on that lovely little logo. First album to
yep.
feature that logo, by the way.
That's right.
Before we were seeing those that nice little old fashioned script kind of thing. Uh
This,
this this time we get
um,
go ahead, Jack. Sorry. Were you about
no,
to say?
no, I was going to say I'm showing off that
Oh.
the logo, but the T kind of goes under my armpit. So
So this album they go for Dennis McKay behind the producer helm, with James Guthrie coming in for Better by You, Better Than Me. Um, it does crack the Billboard 200 based on shipments. Let's see, it got to about 173 on the Billboard charts. It cracks 27 on the UK charts. It even goes to 49 in the Japanese charts. Does go gold. Um, we start seeing a little bit more of the leather clad look for this album. One thing, one thing we've been joking about is that Rob's gone under a bunch of different names listed, and he's still Robert.
Yes, that's
wow.
true.
He's still Robert Halford. We also get Les Banks now on drums. Of course, he came in on the Sin After Sin tour, but enough of my yak, and let's listen to Jack, and I want to hear how Jack got into Priest, and then we'll let him talk about Stained Class and his memories of what what he is what his experiences are, and maybe some of the songs from this album he's heard live.
Okay,
So go for it, Jack.
thank
Floor
you.
is yours.
Okay, so Judas Priest. So before we got on the air, John Clauser had asked me when did I see them on the Stained Class tour, and I said I hadn't even heard of them at that point. So I actually did not even hear of them. So I was big into Kiss in 78 and early 79, not knowing what I know today, but that they were in turmoil and they wanted to basically just 86 Peter Chris out of the band. But nobody knew that at the time. But uh, so I was just, and I grew up on Long Island, and our newspaper of choice is Newsday. Uh, so every day I'd look in that paper. When is Kiss coming to the Nassau Coliseum? When are they coming? When are they coming? Who's going to be their opening band? At the time, I was hoping it was Cheap Trick because they just got popular at that time. maybe a couple other bands. But so then finally they had their 2 shows at Madison Square Garden in July. Then they announced that they were coming to Nassau Coliseum on September 1st of '79. And I see this ad with special guest Judas Priest. And I'm like, who the hell are they? Never heard of them. So a couple of weeks later, so the friend of mine that I was going to that show with, he's like, I just found out that they're pretty good. And but I had no recollection or no prior listens leading up to this concert. So we go to the concert. He was right. They sounded great. They were very heavy. One thing you have to understand. So Kiss at the time, I was starting to get a little turned off when you see all these little kids at the concert at this time, dragging their parents there. And I saw this little 2-3-year-old girl at a record store. Look, mommy, Kiss. What the hell am I doing? Have I lost my mind? I should be listening to more cutting edge stuff. So then I saw Judas Priest, and you know what? Later I learned that Kiss selected them because they thought they could add about 2,000-3,000 extra seats. Fill at least 2,000-3,000 extra seats at that show. So they were great. Unfortunately, I don't think they played anything from what the heck was it? From Stained Class at that time. So come home from the concert. My friend, after the concert, he lends me the album Hell Bent for Leather, which in Europe is called Killing Machine. That's the one. Yep. So he lends it to me. I dropped the needle down. I fell in love immediately. Delivering the Goods, which they played that night, Hell Bent for Leather, Green Manalishi, the hell else did they play? Running Wild, but they did not play anything from what the heck is it? They didn't play anything from Stained Class. However, so my first album that I bought, probably later that month, was Unleashed in the East. So my first exposure was the opening track, Exciter, which, you know what? We all know it. We all love it. And as luck would have it, I saw them perform it in 2005 at Jones Beach Theater on the,
Nice.
what tour was that? That was the Angel of Retribution tour. And it was actually one of the last songs before the encore. So there's that. Other than that, I had never heard anything else. But now here's another funny story. So here it is, 1980. We had this cutting edge station at the time called WLIR, 92.7, I believe it is. But it's a great station because we also had a station, WPLJ, which would not play any metal. They only played certain classic rock, and it annoyed the hell out of me. But LAR was more cutting edge. They started to play a lot of British Steel when it came out, which was really cool. So naturally, I went out and I bought British Steel. So then there's a place in the town of Hempstead. So I live in the town. I live in the Hempstead Township within Nassau County. But within the town of Hempstead proper was a concert hall called the Calderon Concert Hall. It was a 2,000 seat intimate hall, which was a beautiful place. And I was so sad when they closed it and turned it into a Baptist church. But at that time, I wanted to see Priest because they were coming that July. Of course, I got grounded because my friend did something stupid. He takes a firecracker and drops it into a beer bottle and explodes it on my driveway. My father blamed me. So I missed the concert, but as luck would have it, WLAR was simulcasting that concert that night. So I secretly taped the concert. I don't think my father would have been happy, but I recorded the concert and I played it back afterwards. And that was my first exposure to the song Beyond the Realms of Death. I had never heard it before. They were playing pretty much everything off of British Steel or anything off of Unleashed in the East, with the exception of Beyond the Realms of Death. And you know what? It was a ballad, but it was heavy, it was soft, it was heavy, it was soft. But years later, I would realize what an amazing kick-ass solo done by Glenn Tipton. And then at the very end by KK Downing, which had a shorter solo, which I think, that song is a microcosm of some of their, excuse me, so sorry about that. It's what happens when you talk too long. But so the song was actually written, the chords were actually written by Les Binks, who I guess played guitar, and I think the key was B minor, I think.
Yes.
But, yeah. So KK and Glenn, they beautiful solos, but they didn't take any writer's credit. Of course, Rob wrote the lyrics, but like I said, that has to be probably the best solo I think Glenn ever did. So that November they played at a place in Manhattan called the Palladium. Very similar, like a 2,000 or 3,000 seat arena. So that show was right before what the hell, British Steel. They did play White Heat Red Hot as one of the songs in that. So I do know that they played, that did get some circulation back then. Wasn't until British Steel and beyond that ran, that and a few songs off of Sin After Sin got removed. Just gonna swig of water. All right. So another song. So did either of you catch them on the Firepower tour?
Yes.
I confess, I have actually never had a chance to see them in concert.
Oh my God.
It's just,
Wow.
it's always eluded me for whatever reason.
Wow. Okay. Where did you see them, John? Music.
I saw, okay, that was the second time I'd seen them live. That was in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania
Okay.
at our hockey arena. I forget the name of it now. It's gone through so many different names because of the corporate sponsorships.
Right.
Mohegan Sun Arena. There it is.
Oh, in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, well, the original Mohegan Sun's in
Oh.
Connecticut, but then they built
Oh.
they built their second casino in Wilkes-Barre, and then they built the arena a few miles down the road.
Oh, okay. Because the reason I ask is one song they brought back into circulation, which really kicked ass. I loved it. Saints in Hell. One of my favorite songs on the album. It was also rumored, and I did see Rob Halford solo with during one of Iron Maiden's tours back in the late '90s at Madison Square Garden. I think Stained Class, the title track, was in his repertoire of songs during that set, but he didn't play it the night I saw him, which was a damn shame. But he did play Tyrant, which I also love. So there was that. So favorite songs, Exciter, the title track, Stained Class. I absolutely love it. I even like Invader. Probably one of the last song Ian Hill actually had a writer's credit in, but I love that bridge, and the guitar playing again by Tipton. Saints in Hell, Beyond the Realms of Death, and even Hero's End. I love it. I just love that, that stop starting that Tipton does. And he does that several times. Lets that note just ring through as Rob is going through his lyrics. And from what I understand, that's the only song that never got played in concert.
That's right.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's about what I have. Yeah.
Okay.
How would you rank this album 1 to 10, Jack?
Oh, 1 to 10. I would say it. They're so the original album. So we did mention before we got on the air that so they added "Better by You, Better Than Me" as a live song, and they also have a song "Fire Burns Below," which is not really didn't really fit. So I can understand why they left it off, but it was just the 9 songs from "Excited to Hero's End." I would easily give this a 9.5. There is not a bad song on this album. Even "Better by You, Better Than Me" was good. I know they were trying to go for a hit and written by Gary Wright, but didn't hit, but that's okay. Uh, I so as John Clauser mentioned, I do have a show, All or Not According to Jack, and I did do ranking the albums of Judas Priest. So please check it out if you haven't. It's
I will try. I will try to remember to link that and put
oh,
a link in the description
I
for anybody to go
appreciate it.
check that out.
But this album, I'm not going to give it away, but it ranked very high in that rating. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, very good, Jack. Thank you. All
Okay.
right, so now for what John and I usually do, we'll just kind of go back and forth with our little spiel on the song. So, John,
All
next
right.
up, go for it.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Jack. So here we go. Stained Class, February 10, 1978. We got Robert Halford on vocals, Glenn Tipton, KK Downing on guitar, Ian Hill on bass. This will be the first of 3 albums that Les Binks would play drums on. For the production, we got Dennis McKay produced all of the songs on here, except for Better by You, Better Than Me. You've never heard of Dennis McKay, never know the name, you certainly know his work. He has done a lot of work with Pink Floyd, starting with the Wall album. He has also been a producer, engineer, mixer with a lot of different diverse artists. And I'll give you just a few here. Jack Bruce for Jet Set Jewel, David Bowie for Ziggy Stardust and the Spires of Mars, Vixen for Rev It Up, George Harrison for All Things Must Pass, Mahavishnu Orchestra for Visions of the Emerald Beyond, Jeff Beck for Wired, love that album, Pat Travers for Crash and Burn, who Jack Toledano and I saw at Sea of Tranquility Fest.
Yes. Yep. That was a great day.
Absolutely.
I hope Mr. Pardo does that again in 2024. That would be so awesome.
Absolutely. And that's where Jack and I've met. John and I've never met, but Jack and I have.
Yeah,
we're working on that though.
We're working on it though.
No, that would so and you're in Birmingham, so you know what? If I ever get down to it, so my New York Giants are actually playing in Atlanta this year, and I'm half thinking about maybe going to that game with certain family members. So if I do, I will let you know.
Yeah, I'll make the trip from Birmingham.
That would
There
be
you
cool.
go. Nice. He also worked on Sass Jordan's Racine album, Trickster's debut album, self-titled debut, Return to Forever, Romantic Warrior, and so many other albums. Now, James Guthrie produced Better by You, Better Than Me, and Judas Priest liked his work so much, he would produce Hellbent for Leather, as well as Ambrosia's Rhode Island, Queensryche's The Warning, the 4 new songs on Toto's Past to Present, 1990s, 1977 to 1990, Boomtown Rats, In the Long Grass, among other albums. Now, Stained Class, Exciter. What I had heard later on in life was what a way to introduce a drummer to the public. You have Where Eagles Dare for Nickel McBrain in Iron Maiden. You had Painkiller for Scott Travis in Judas Priest. Exciter introduces us to Les Binks. And what a monster performance he does on this song and throughout the album. He made them, along with Simon Phillips on Sin After Sin, he made them a heavier band just through his performance along alone, I'm sorry, this would be the first song on Unleashed in East as well. And just like on that live album, this song just takes you in, grabs you by the throat, doesn't let go. This is a fantastic song. So many great fills here from Les, so many great guitar lines, fantastic performance for Robert Halford, and the bridges, like I've said on the past two shows, what really separates this band from a lot of the great heavy metal bands is they have these great bridges that come in after their solos, and they are spectacular. It really separates them from the pack. So Exciter is what it is. It's what it says it is. It is a outstanding, exciting song. White Heat, Red Hot. I always got to make sure I don't say White Light, White Heat. Velvet Underground. Menacing, yet it's melodic. There's these great lead breaks after Rob is singing a line, which work really well. Killer riff, excellent lyric. The lyrics on these early albums were quite good. I like later on, after they had crossed over to the mainstream, they were very hit and miss. But here the lyrics were still strong. This is a very good track here. Now, Better by You, Better Than Me is a cover of the Spooky Tooth song from 1969 that was on the album Spooky 2. Now, Gary Wright would also be known for Dreamweaver later. He wrote this song, and just like on Diamonds and Rust, on Sin After Sin, Judas Priest make this song their own. Because if you listen to the original by Spooky Tooth, it's kind of more in that blues rock vein, kind of like early Peter Green led Fleetwood Mac. And it's kind of ragged, it's not sung quite as well. I mean, it's good for what it is, but Priest make it their own. It's a tighter version. They do take out the one part where they take the main guitar riff and they play it in a higher key. But there's another part that they add, which turns it into an anthem where after they do a chorus, you hear Rob go, everybody, come on. That turns it into an anthem right there. So, that's going to work really well live. But James Guthrie produced this, and because CBS thought they needed something that might hit radio, because the rest of this album is quite dark. Killer song, though. Killer version. And what's better? The title song. The title song is menacing.
Killer. We
got another fantastic performance here from Les Binks. You got that chugging rhythm. Rob Halford is in a zone here. Fantastic. The drums during the chorus are excellent because Les is throwing in these fills all over the place. Wonderful solos on here too. And they're sparse. And then we go into the bridge again. And that bridge takes the song up another level again. Fantastic track. This is one of my 2 or 3 favorites on the album. Invader, we got the spaceship landing, that sound effect. So that brings us into
I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
They also brought back Invader in the second leg of the tour. I didn't see the second leg, but I know they brought back, yeah. That's another song they brought back that they had never played before.
Yeah, they never played it live during Staying Class, but they brought. I read 2021 was the first they played that. So.
Oh yeah.
I could be wrong. I mean.
No, you might be right. Yeah.
There's still hope for Iron Maiden's Invader to be played live.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Oh
cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Great. Now this song's my least favorite on the album. I'm sorry, but it's still really good. It's very straight ahead. They do slow down the tempo a little bit after this great bridge that they have in it, which Jack alluded to earlier on. Mm-hmm. There's some good call and response during the vocals, which works really well. Very strong track. Saints in Hell, as Jack alluded to, they did this on the Firepower tour. I saw them in Wilkes-Barre. That was the first night of the tour. So I was there when they played it for the first time live. And I was probably the only Yahoo out on the floor who was going ballistic because it was seating. And I'm sitting in one of the back rows on a corner. And they went into this, and I'm like, I can't believe they're playing this. And I'm getting up and I'm screaming and I'm shaking my fist. And I'm 46 years old at this point. And everybody else is just sitting like, I think 95% of people didn't know that song. But
Wow.
you know, if you're a I mean, in our area, it's more of we're more of an AOR area. So so Judas Priest fans, the vast majority of them, they're gonna know British Steel through Turbo.
Right.
So they're singing along with Turbo Lover. And they're singing along with You Got Another Thing Coming. But Saints in Hell, they're like, you just see them stand there just staring. And I'm looking over like, you don't even have Saints in Hell. And I'm thinking the audience, you know, I'm like, it's more AOR. They're gonna know metal gods, you know. But very atmospheric here. The breakdown in here when Rob shines like the sun on his vocals and they got those echoes going on is excellent. Excellent song. Wake the Dead, The Saints Are in Hell.
Yes.
Fantastic chorus. It's simple. It's so effective. Fantastic. Wicked riff. Awesome track. One of my 3 favorites again. Savage.
That made my night when they played that.
Oh my gosh.
The guy I dragged to the concert with me, he didn't know anything. But like you said, you know, you've got another thing coming, breaking the law. But I'm like just going nuts when, you know, first few chords of Saints in Hell. But
yeah, and it feels so good when you're like, oh my God, they're gonna play this, and I didn't know they were gonna bring this out. I was like, I didn't look to see any sport. I mean, it was the first date, and they didn't.
I cheated. It was like about the 3rd or 4th date. So I looked, and there's this setlist.com.
Setlist FM.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah,
which is very vital to this program, by the way. We'll get into that a little bit later. Savage, kick-ass song here. The only song in here really has some background vocals, and it's like right at the end where you have them at the end when you have the band singing in at the end during the outro. Great solos on here. This is really heavy. Operatic scream from Rob on here at the beginning is superb.
Right.
Another wicked killer rock song. And the thing about this album, it's a heavy album, but you also hear them getting a little more accessible here. A little.
Right.
You'd hear it a lot more on the next album. But here, yes, the songs are really heavy, but I don't know if you got too much pre-thrash on here like you'd have on Sin After Sin.
Right.
So this is heavy yet accessible.
One thing to point out, so Savage, that's one of the few songs where KK got the full writing credit, not Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like every time KK started a song, Glenn always had some input and got, as Don Felder would say, 1 word and a third, you know.
Yeah.
But and which kind of alluded to some problems that they would have later on, but that KK alluded to in his book. But
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Beyond the Realms of Death is one of their best songs, period. When I first saw them in '88 on the Ram It Down tour, I went with a bunch of friends.
Also,
Yep. And I saw them in Broome County Arena in Binghamton, New York.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't see too many shows there, but that was one of them. We got Cinderella as the opener. Now, I love Cinderella, but I didn't think that was a good mix.
Right.
And on the West Coast, as I learned from Chris Allo, watching a show of his with Pete on Sea of Tranquility, they got Slayer as the headliner on the West Coast.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. But so yeah, that was actually only the 3rd time I had seen them. I saw them on this tour.
Nice.
For Vengeance, '82. I didn't see him, you know, and that was around the time I was going to college, so I didn't do too many concerts because I was out of the tri-state area, away from the concerts. But
Okay.
so my two of my cousins actually invited me to go see them on the Ram It Down tour, and yeah, so my cousins, myself, my brother, we caught that. It was a great show. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that was when they introduced the crystal ball, or rather the disco ball for Beyond the Realms of Death.
Right.
Yeah.
We did. We talk about victim of changes being so important to the evolution of heavy metal. You can put
Right.
that Beyond the Realms of Death in that same category.
Mm.
Soft verse, loud chorus, a song about a man facing his final days.
Yeah.
That is a universal feel.
I mean, their lyrics are just really amazing. I think one of Rob's finest pieces of work lyrically.
I agree. What I wrote here is it's dramatic lyrically and sonically.
Yeah.
The solos here, you mentioned Glenn's solo on here. His solo on here is so lyrical you could sing it.
Yeah.
I love those solos you can sing, and you could sing that solo. Another one of those great tracks that we're close to 7 minutes on this, takes you in. It feels like 4.5. It's spectacular song. Favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
Saw them do this live on Ram It Down. My friends are with me. I'm again like on Saints and Hell. I'm going ballistic, and they're like, "Why are you going so crazy?" I go, "This is Beyond the Realms of Death." They didn't know the old stuff either. Well, they knew what was on Unleashed in the East, but they didn't know this one.
Right.
So I'm like, "This is Beyond the Realms of Death." They're like, "Okay, all right, go nuts," you know.
So, Painkiller. That's the only tour I saw them twice on the same tour. So saw them 1990 at the Nassau Coliseum. They played it. Then I saw them again in August of 91. That was Operation Rock and Roll, I think it is, where
Oh yeah, okay, I remember that.
they co-headlined with what the hell's their name? Alice Cooper.
Okay,
You know, Metal Church was there.
nice.
Wasn't Dangerous
Boys,
Toys?
I believe. Yeah, yep.
Oh yeah, we were
I
talking
actually
about that
saw
not too
them
long ago.
Yep.
I actually saw them in Steve Keeler land at the Orange
Sweet.
County Speedway, you know, upstate New York. But they actually had to shorten that set because it was a co-headlining set with Alice
Yeah.
Cooper. So
Right.
he took it out of the set. 2005, I saw them on the what is it? The Angel of Retribution tour
Right.
thing. I took my son was 10 years old at that time. Brought him to the show. He knew everything. And during Beyond the Realms of
I
Death,
love that.
pumping his fist to the song. And this woman behind us, she taps me on the shoulder. She's like, "Is that your son?" She couldn't believe that this 10-year-old knew all the lyrics, basically knew the song note for note. And he's going crazy. But
Nice.
it was a great time.
Absolutely. And Heroes End.
Yeah.
Definitely a deep cut because, as Jack alluded to, they never played this live. Another riveting track, another great bridge after the solo again. And during the bridge, you have Rob going from soft to loud in the next line.
Yeah. Very operatic also.
Absolutely. One of the best deep cuts ever.
Yes.
And brings an end to a fantastic album. Remember, I was saying the 10s are coming, people? Here's my first 10.
All right.
Love Stained Class. 10 out of 10. Thank you.
Oh gosh, I'm not sure how I'm gonna follow this all up, but here goes nothing. So Jack, I tend to be a little bit more on the lyric side of things.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm more on the musical side.
so
Yeah.
if for any of those for anybody who's watched the Wasp Wednesday series, they knew I got in pretty deep with the lyrics on a lot of that stuff. So so for me, so I gotta show this first. So let me just show this little thing off first off.
Nice.
So this is what this was is me and my two best friends from high school, Mike and Dave. I allude to them quite frequently. That was I was the guy who was writing lyrics in high school. They're awful lyrics. The notebook is lost to all eternity. I don't know where it all disappeared to, but which is probably a good thing because the lyrics were terrible. And the idea was that the three of us we were gonna do a band, and Dave thought, hey, why don't we call ourselves Bloodstone? And
Oh,
obviously this has stuck with me all these years. This is something that
cool.
my high school girlfriend had designed. She actually
Nice.
did this little logo thing. May
Wow.
may she rest in peace, unfortunately. But anyway, um, so anyway, so we had this dream of doing the band thing, and we were going to kind of tell because not everybody had their own names. They didn't always use what's a good example? Like take Venom, for example. Okay, what Cronus and Abaddon and Mantis. Okay, so we were gonna kind of me and Mike at least. I don't think Dave ever picked anything, but me and Mike had our own things. He went with the Ripper because he was also into a lot of the Jack the Ripper folklore and stuff like that. What song do I pick? I pick the song that leads off Stained Class, Exciter. Yes, I even wrote a song once called The Exciter of My Dreams. I don't remember the lyrics. Sorry, I am not going to recite them for you. Anyway, Exciter, although I was probably more the Kiss Exciter more so than the Judas Priest Exciter, but I see a lot of myself. I can see why I like this song so much because this is just you get less coming in with this great drum intro, that again, it's like you get sucked in with that intro. You get these great riffs. You get another of the loved Priest characters. Just basically the riffs, the voice. Very interesting lyrics here, though. And I went back and I really listened harder to some of the lyrics. And I'm thinking, is Rob trying to sing about? Is he trying to make like a Revelations version of Jesus here? Is he trying? Because it's like you think about this, fall to your knees and repent if you please, the taste the fire on your tongue, and all these different things. There's a lot of like kind of a very spiritual like imagery kind of thrown, kind of a lot of it is kind of thrown out in this album. I thought those are the kind of things I picked up, but I mean, good Lord, Exciter, what a song, great song. One thing I want to mention, something I think it was during Sin After Sin was when Roger Glover happened to be noticing Rob was like really deep into this book, and Roger goes up to him and says, like, "Is that a Bible you're reading?" And Rob would say, "No, he was using a Rogers thesaurus. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
using a thesaurus to make his lyrics better."
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, you hear it on this album.
Oh yeah.
I think you get some amazing imagery here. White Heat, Red Hot. You get another great chugging song, solid grooves. This one deals with kind of the nuclear war kind of vibe. You would see a lot of this kind of imagery throughout some of Priest's lyrics. I'm going to skip Better by You, Better Than Me for the time being. I'm going to come back to that for a second. Stained Class, another absolute banger. Really just talks about like a need for change, the struggles of power, but you get some lovely dual guitar work here by both Glenn and KK. I think you just get some you again, you get the lyrical sound of Glenn, you get the more frantic, more more metal sounding, I guess you could call it, KK. Again, but great performances all around. Invader, another futuristic track here, kind of like an alien invasion kind of song. I like that chorus. It almost like it takes like it goes into like a major key because it has this brightness sound to it, and I don't. So it just has a bright feel to it. Of course, you get the Ian Hill co-write. Great to see them bring that on firepower. Um, Saints in Hell kicks off side 2. Now, is it me, or do I detect maybe a little skosh of Wrathchild in this song? I'm
Yes, you're right.
just going with the dun da da da. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but
It's not you.
I picked that up a little bit. But another great track. This one where this is talking about the saints who have gone into hell, and there are people who are willing to risk their lives and to bring those folks out of hell. But I'll tell you what, you get that bridge section, that atmospheric bridge. Whoa, love that section.
Yeah.
Love that section.
Now,
Ooh.
now, 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 now.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's not
awesome.
very intricate musically, but boy, there's just enough atmosphere and that groove that just brings you in. Love
Yeah,
that, love that section. Um, Savage again, kind of the only co-write that KK gets here with Rob. You know, KK gets the Saints in Hell, but Glenn's in there too. Um, to me, another good head bopping groove, but here again, lyrically, it's like, this was Run to the Hills before it was Run to the Hills.
yes, absolutely. No question.
Again, talking about that, the way that the Native Americans were treated,
Yeah.
you know, very powerful
Ask the
song.
question, who's the real savage? Yeah,
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Strong song. Well, another great track, Beyond the Realms of Death. The Priest ballad. Period. I don't know if they have ever done a better ballad other than this one. If they have, Jack, you probably would know it. I can't imagine a better Priest
well,
ballad
some
than
people
this
would make
song.
a case for Before the Dawn, but that's just all,
I would agree with
all
that.
Ellen.
I would
But
agree with that. But to me, Beyond the Realms of Death, to me, beats it. Again, you get this sorrowful sound in the lyrics about this, you know, the people who, in fact, I'm going to go to a little story that our good friend that we had on the Wasp Wednesday series, Jake, not from State Farm. I got to share this story because this, to me, this sums up what the song's about. To me, Beyond the Realms of Death is, in my opinion, Priest's best song lyrically. Granted, I'm a bit biased. I've worked in healthcare since I was 18, so I'm 16 years now. So he's still a young kid. Lots of stroke survivors, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, cognitive disabilities, hospice patients. 10 of those years spent exclusively working with Alzheimer's units. You have lines like, they washed and dressed him, fed him by hand. I've done that. The washing and dressing, feeding by hand. I've seen the people withdrawn. He sat there staring into space. No sign of life would flicker on his face. The prisoners in their own mind, the prisoners in their own mind, where you're doing everything for them or a lot of things for them, or maybe they can do things for themselves, but their Alzheimer's is to the point where they don't even know what day it is or who they are. Realms is such a beautiful and deep song, and one of my personal favorite Priest songs that conveys what it's like to be a prisoner in your own body at the end of life. Jake, not from State Farm, thank you for that insight.
Thank you, Jake.
I could not have said that better myself. You get Glenn's awesome guitar solo, so memorable. You get KK screaming outro to finish the song. Just a perfect song from start to finish. Hero's End, you get this is just a straight up Glenn song. Um, you know, this is like one of those. This is kind of like one of those songs about the 27 Club, where you
yes,
get these people who have died, but yet they had so much more to say, but yet they probably got more notice after they died, kind of thing is
right.
kind of what you get here. But again, interesting that they've never done this one live, but still, I think a good album closer. Um, as I alluded to, I think there's to me, I picked up a lot of religious imagery, you know, between Saints in Hell, Exciter, even White Heat, Red Hot. I think there's just a little, you get a little bit of that. Now, let's go back to Better by You, Better Than Me. Again, a song originally written by Spooky Tooth. Um, I think it's a well done version. It's got a nice groove, nice feel, nice bright song. You know, but let's just take a few minutes here and let's discuss what this song would do to two teenagers in 1985 in Reno, Nevada, where they would hear subliminal messages in the song somewhere, either backwards playing or frontwards playing, but they hear something and it's like it's encouraging them to take their life. Now, before we go into any kind of discussion here, I just want to stress highly, if you have suicidal tendencies, if you are at that point in your life where you don't feel life is worth living, please reach out to a friend, reach out to a family member that you can trust, reach out to anyone that you can trust and talk to them. Please do not take your life. It's there's people there's people in your life that, trust me, you are loved. And please don't let that slip by you. Okay. Now, whether these kids had any of these mental health issues, it didn't sound like it. But then again, this is 1985. Were we really talking about mental health issues at this point?
Not
You know,
really.
because when you think about this, you have, 1985, you get the PMRC starting up. And what's that? Okay, it's just a way of like almost like a scapegoat for for parents to say, okay, hey, no, this has a sticker on it. You can't listen to this album. Okay. And it's like we got to take the responsibility on ourselves. We have to make our own decisions and hope that we're doing a good decision. But when it comes to things like taking your life, uh, yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, you can't please yours, just reach out to talk to somebody. So, um, now this, if you get re the remastered version of this, they they add that as a live track, as a bonus track. That was played on the first date of the Painkiller tour, which started up about a month after that case settled. So there's a good reason for why they wanted to bring that out, just to do probably, I don't know. I don't think celebrate is a right word, but obviously the judge did not find Priest liable for this. You know, so guys, I want to throw it to you guys. Jack, I'll let you go first.
Sure.
What are your memories from that
From the
time?
okay, so from the trial, as I mentioned to you guys off camera, so my wife and I watch the news all the time. We have it on in the morning as we're getting ready for work. Uh, I, I now don't have to get dressed to go to work because I work from home. So, but I I'll have it on when I'm making my coffee and having my breakfast and whatnot. But to see, and I just know that, and this has always disappointed me, that metal has never been in the mainstream. So it's never talked about. So like, for example, tonight you're going to have the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, and all they're going to talk about is goddamn what's her name, Taylor Swift. So pisses me off. That's why I'm rooting for Buffalo. But uh, so going back to the news, back at that time, I never thought they would start talking about Judas Priest in the news with this trial. So, and they did. And almost like they were like making them out to be the bad guy, like they were convicting them in the media. So, and one day this, reporter who doesn't know his ass from his elbow when it comes to music, he starts reciting some of the lyrics from Stained Class. So I'm just gonna give you the first the second stanza, first couple of lines. where he says, transfixed at deliverance, is this all there is? Faithless continuum into the abyss. And he's like, he's trying to suggest that they're telling these guys to jump into the abyss, which is total horseshit. I mean, also listen, reading these lyrics tells me what a genius Rob Halford is. I mean, I would have never came up with good lyrics like that if I was writing a song.
Me either.
You mentioned the thesaurus. That's straight out of the thesaurus. I mean, continuum. I never used that. I like to think that I'm a pretty intelligent guy, but I don't use those lyrics. But
I tend to use doohickey a lot, so yeah. So
he also says polaxed out and burned. But seriously though, something else we talked about before we went on the air. I'm a parent, so I have two children that are now young adults. But you know what? I've always felt, and maybe I've taken a bit of a conservative approach to parenting, but I've always felt that, people should take responsibility for their actions. And I preached that to my kids, and knock on wood, thank God, they both turned out to be good, productive adults. I love them. I'm proud of them. But, there are those that, they just want to make excuses for their actions. They don't want to say, I screwed up. They want, I guess maybe they saw a payday. Who knows? But who listens to an album and then says, oh, yeah, I think, even when, and I used to get wasted in college. I could tell you guys some stories from back then when me and Mr. Porter used to get together, but never once did I ever say, I should go jump off a bridge because they say it in a backwards message. And that's just ludicrous. I could go on and on, but I think you get my gist. That,
yeah.
you know what? I was so relieved when they were found not guilty, not liable. Thank God.
Yeah. John, how about you?
I remember when it happened back in '88, and I wasn't watching the news back then because I was 17 years old and I wasn't taking those things seriously. I wasn't. I remember it was talked about a little bit, but we heard a lot more about it during the trials of '90 because they were talk about MTV and on the major news outlets as well. I never thought it was music related. I mean, as I get older, I think about the parents losing their kids. That I'm not a parent. I'll never know how that feels. But I mean, that's got to be heartbreaking for them, even to this day. But I'm wondering, did someone talk to them and say, hey, we can go after these musicians? We could go after them because they listen to this band. Maybe we can get something out of this. I don't know, but I never thought, I was enjoying these lyrics back then. I mean, I was enjoying this music. I wasn't looking so deep into the lyrics though. To me, it was a release. It was fun. I mean, it was something that I enjoyed. It's something I still enjoy.
I'm sorry. Could I add one thing also?
Surely.
So this was happening in 89, 90. The album came out in 1978. This is like 11, 12 years that had passed.
Yes.
And you're going after this album now, 12 years later? Isn't there like a statute of limitations?
Right. And one part of this reminds me of, and again, full respect to the parents of these children. We're looking for something to attack. That's how it is now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, maybe this is what that was, but it may have been just a friend of the family, a lawyer, whoever. It stinks that they're gone. But no, this wasn't because of music.
No,
it was not. And I mean, how many lyrics have we seen over the years that are a lot more graphic than this?
Yeah.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Exactly, exactly.
Right.
And how many? I mean, it's a form of entertainment. Like, how many video games have we seen that's so much more graphic than this? Movies that we see are much more graphic than this.
Right.
Yeah.
Judith, and for a song that they didn't write, but they said there was subliminal. No, no. They were talking about subliminal messages back with the Beatles back in the 60s.
Right. Yeah. But there was the thing that Rob had said. Why that would be counterproductive? Why would we tell our fans to kill
Fans.
themselves? We would give them a message. Buy more of our records.
Right, exactly. It'd be a positive message. It wouldn't be like, oh, you love our music, go off yourselves. No, they're not saying that.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you know what? I did see they showed pictures of them in court. I mean, they can't show the actual court proceedings as they're happening, but they did show some stills of them. And I could see that it looked like this trial aged them a good 5-10 years at that time. It was, yeah. I was dying inside for those guys.
Yeah. There's a documentary that you can find on YouTube called Dreamer Deceiver. Basically the death of James Vance versus Judas Priest. And James Vance was one of the two teenagers. Now this, for those who don't know the story, so it was two guys. One was successful in killing himself. The other was not. And not to be graphic, but he basically blew like half his face off.
Yeah.
And if you watch this documentary, he's in this thing because I guess there's some footage of him, but he unfortunately would pass away about 3 years after, like in 1988,
Yeah.
which is probably why maybe that's how the lawsuit eventually
Well, I
came.
think it was after the 90s. It might have been between 90 and 95 is when he passed away. Yeah.
Yeah. But so he would anyway, so this comes out and you're watching this and you do see more of the court case here. And yeah, you hear Rob singing the lyrics. They even play another song backwards that supposedly had something in there. And it's like you could almost hear Rob singing backwards. I asked for a peppermint and she gave it to me or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's literally what it says. And it's like,
Wow.
okay. And I think that was on Exciter or something. I'm not really sure.
So I think I'll go kill myself.
Exactly. So it's like where, what they picked up on is beyond me. But again, not to be poking fun at any of them, or the families or the lawyers or whatever, but again, and I guess maybe it was the I think it was some of the maybe the more, as we say in Christianese, legalistic parents who just were very quick to condemn anything that was out of their realm of how what their kids were listening to, or doing. And they just said, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, that just spurs on the kids to want to go find out for themselves, but no, to the families of James Vance and the other gentleman whose name is escaping me at the moment, I'm sorry. We're sorry.
Belknap, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah,
Raymond Belknap. Yeah.
Yep.
We're I from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry that happened to Raymond and James, and but and we hope that you all have been able to move on. Who knows if they're even still alive anymore. The families, I don't know, but I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to poke fun at you or anything like that. But again, for anybody watching and you're having suicidal thoughts, please contact somebody. Please talk to somebody. So with that, let's go back to something that's a little more light spirited. John always does the tour stuff. And this is always like a fun part of the show when he talks about the tours and some of the different cities that that the tours would go on. He about broke my heart on Sin After Sin when Judas Priest and UFO played at the Roxy Theater in Northampton, Pennsylvania. Northampton, Pennsylvania is my hometown. I did not know that at 10 years old. Of course, I didn't know who Judas Priest was at the time, but I've seen many a movie at the Roxy Theater because it was a second run theater, and you could go there and see movies for $1. It was great. I love that theater. I miss going to see stuff there. So, John, take it away.
Okay, thank you, John, and very well spoken. Your sentiments. I mean, thank you for that, and thanks for bringing that up. But there's one thing. How do you feel about this album ranking wise?
Oh yeah, I guess I should rank it, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like you. I don't think I could get away with not saying it's a 10. It's not a 10 because I think there's every song is just so strong. You know, there's you don't have the couple of you to like in Sin After Sin to me, like Last Rose of Summer was the bit of a downer for me. And you know, Raw Deal lyrically, you couldn't really. I don't think Rob's presentation of the lyrics comes through very clearly as the rest of the album did. You know, there at least maybe my ears picked up something wrong, but the rest of the album had a much more clear sound. And so I ranked it maybe about a 9.5 or something like that. But yeah, I have to say 10 for Stained Glass easy because there's just so much to love on this album. So yeah,
Nice.
I agree. I think there's gonna be I'm with you. I think there's gonna be a lot of 10s coming soon.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Okay,
Wow.
so
I
I'm
can't
sorry.
believe I gave it a 9.5, but when you watch my ranking, you'll see how high it ranked. So
Oh,
I can give you that.
Excellent.
understandable.
All right. So just to let y'all know, on this tour, they played the following songs live from Stained Class: Exciter, White Heat, Red Hot, Savage, Beyond the Realms of Death, Better by You, Better Than Me, and Stained Class. As we alluded to earlier, Saints in Hell would not get played until 2018. Invader will not get played till 2021. There were 76 dates promoting Stained Class, and this would run from January of 78, and the end of this, I believe, was July of 78. By the time they went to October of 78, they would be playing songs from Killing Machine, also known as Hellbent for Leather, here in the States. So we're gonna go with the tour of the UK first. And on the UK tour, I'm gonna say this was a co-headline with UFO, who were promoting Lights Out at the time. So
Nice.
I'm gonna bang out these cities. I'm not gonna bang them all out, but I'll bang out the majority. Cambridge. Oh, I'm sorry. All in England, unless I say otherwise. Cambridge, Leeds, Coventry, Sheffield, Cardiff, Wales, Swansea, Wales, Hanley, Lancaster, Portsmouth, Bristol, Wolverhampton, Newcastle, Aberdeen, Scotland, Edinburgh, Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland, Manchester, Leicester, Dunstable, London, Birmingham, Middlesbrough, Liverpool, Derby, Bradford, Hemel Hempstead, Oxford, Southampton, Guildford, Great Malvern. That was the end of the tour in the UK. Now we go to the US. And on this tour, they played with a variety of bands. They played with Angel. They played with Foghat, who were promoting Stone Blue. They played with Bachman Turner Overdrive, who were promoting Head On. They were also playing with Stars for Attention Shoppers, and the Pat Travers Band for Putting It Straight, and Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush for that fantastic live album, which a
Those are
lot of
some
us own, including me.
those are some very interesting package deals.
Yes, and this is just throughout the tour. They weren't like they did some with Angel, and Gods. They were on some of these dates too. They did a lot with BTO and Foghat. That might have been the two bands they played the most with. And Budgie for Impeccable as well. So,
Where did they play in the New York area?
well,
Do you have
they
that?
played their opening date, March 10, the Palladium in New York.
Okay.
And they actually did 2 dates at the Palladium. They also did Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City, Missouri, Tulsa Assembly Center, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Marriott Convention Center, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. 2 dates at the Tarrant County Convention Center in Fort Worth, Texas, Municipal Auditorium in Lubbock, Texas, Amarillo Civic Center, Amarillo, Texas, the Taylor County Coliseum in Abilene, Texas. I'm thinking these bigger places, them and Foghat were probably headline. I'm sorry, them and Foghat were probably opening for BTO, because BTO by this point had already tasted the sweet taste of success with BTO 2 and Not Fragile and 4-wheel drive. So we had Memorial Coliseum in Corpus Christi, Texas, 2 dates at the Municipal Auditorium in Austin, Texas, the Sam Houston Coliseum in Houston, Texas. There was also 2 dates there. The Crazy Horse Saloon in Killeen, Texas, Waldorf in San Francisco, California. 3 dates at the Whiskey A Go Go in West Hollywood, California. B. Jennings at Charlesburg, Illinois. The fabulous Fox Theater in St. Louis, Missouri. Warriors Theater in Fresno, California. And Bakersfield Civic Auditorium in Bakersfield, California. Then they also did a few dates in Japan. They did 4 dates in Tokyo, 1 date in Nagoya, and 1 date in Osaka. And I also have dates here. I'll fly through these. Swing Auditorium, San Bernardino, California, San Diego Civic Theater, San Diego, California, Santa Monica Civic Auditorium, Santa Monica, California. Catch a Rising Star, Kansas City, Missouri, Electric Ballroom, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Hammond Civic Center, Hammond, Indiana, Stone Hearth, Madison, Wisconsin, Tomorrow Club, Youngstown, Ohio, the Agora, which is still there in Cleveland, Ohio, the Bottom Line in New York, New York. And this is interesting. It said on that same date, they play with Budgie and Todd Rundgren.
Interesting.
Yes. And at Wendler Arena in Saginaw, Michigan, they played with Alice Cooper. That I can see. Which would lead to many more collaborations with Alice Cooper, as Jack alluded to earlier. Show Place, Dover, New Jersey, Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati. They opened for Uriah Heep, and Rush was the headliner.
Nice.
And they were promoting Farewell to Kings.
Wow.
They also played Rockney Hall in Allentown, Pennsylvania for 2 dates. And that's all the dates I got.
I don't know that. I don't know that location in Allentown. That's my home. That's my home area. I should know that one. I might have to look that up.
Yeah, I saw that on there. I'm like, I don't know if John would know this, but I never heard of it myself.
Me either.
And I'm about an hour and a half north.
Yeah.
So there you go with the tour dates. Now, Killing Machine, they were a touring machine. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to bang out those 130 some dates they did.
Oh gosh, I think you might have to. I think you might have to just hit some big cities for that one.
I think I'm going to have to.
After that, you might have to have a part 2 episode.
Yeah, part 2, just the Killing Machine tour. That's what we'll do. So there you go.
Oh man, no, it's always fun to hear all the different places that some of these tours go. Yeah, it's always fascinating. So. All right, guys, this has been a lot of fun. As I said, I'm going to try to link Jack's ranking the albums for Judas Priest in the description, as well as just tagging his channel. So I'll make sure that gets put on there. Jack, is there other than what's going on your channel these days? What else is going on in the world of Jack Toledano?
It's more about what's been going on in my life. So admittedly, I haven't had as much input before the new year. So we had a situation where we had to buy a new kitchen. So that basically turned our lives upside down. So,
oh boy.
So there's that. Then my parents just celebrated their 60th anniversary. They live in Daytona, Florida. So me and the whole family flew down for that. And I
Nice.
did put up a couple of, usually when I travel, I like to put up a couple of small vignettes, on location videos. So if you go on my channel, you'll see those. I kind of go to the local Bass Pro Shop, which is right across the street from the Daytona Speedway, and I kind of poke fun at the guy who jumped into the tank naked. So yeah.
You know, hey, that happened here in Birmingham.
Oh, really? I
Yes,
didn't know that.
that happened up in the north part of Birmingham.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, that yeah.
I have a 2-minute video where I'm poking fun at that.
I'll
But
have to watch that.
yeah. What else? But so I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I'm supposed to be on Hudson Valley Squares this week as we talk about 4 albums. Leonard Skinner, Street Survivors, Rock and Roll Over by Kiss, Blue Oyster Cult, and what's it, Thin Lizzy. I forget the name of the albums, but it's going to be a very fun discussion. I'm going to be continuing on with my series where I do the top 3 metal albums by year. I haven't done that in a while, but that's coming back, and I might tap into your guys' knowledge if you guys would like to pick a year and would like to do it with me. So you are more than welcome.
Might, yeah,
Like a
we'll,
plan.
we'll talk off air on that.
Okay, sure. And then tonight I'm going to be recording another football episode to talk about the happenings of last week and this week, and as of press time right now, the Lions have won. They are going to the conference championship. I'm a Giant fan, but I'm very happy for them because they never win.
They never win. They haven't won a playoff game since what, 1991 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This
No,
is their
kudos
second
to
one.
them. Of course, the story that's going to play out here on the NFL is they want the Harbaughs to face each other in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's probably what it's going to wind up being, because what the 49ers has a Harbaugh and the Ravens still have a Harbaugh. Am I still
Yep.
correct on that?
Good
I don't know
question.
who's I don't know who the head coaches
Well,
are.
Jim Harbaugh coached Michigan.
Yeah.
And he won a national
Yeah, he won the
title.
national championship.
Right.
Yeah, so they're talking with Atlanta. I'm sorry, Atlanta. I'm sorry, my mistake. Atlanta might get Belichick. My bad.
Yeah, I could see him going there, either there or Washington.
But anyway, all right. So we got so Jack's got a lot of great stuff on his. He does a little bit of everything. He talks Seinfeld. He'll talk wrestling. He'll talk other kind of fun things. So
Right.
y'all have a field day going on his channel because he's got a
That's
lot of
true.
good stuff. Of course, you can go find some old episodes with him on Sea of Tranquility, which is
Yep.
where we would all first come to know and love Jack. So
Absolutely.
so I will, like I said, I will tag him in the description, like I do a lot of channels, but I will specifically link that one. John, what have you got that we should be talking about coming up as far as you?
Hey, me and Tim Durling, we're starting our Y&T series. That will be on Tim's Vinyl Confessions. There is the book that Tim Durling wrote, Y&T Down for the Count, Y&T album review. And there is the album 10 right there. There you go.
I
So
love the song Mean Streak.
Meat Speaks Killer. Oh yeah.
Sometimes when I'm having a little difficulty in my marriage, I think of that song.
Yeah, so we've already taped 2, and they're going to start premiering on Saturdays, and I believe 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The first one will be this coming Saturday. That would be January 27. So, and then January 25, John and I, along with Ernesto Ramos, Byron Bolt, Daryl Collins, and Grant Arthur will be on Grant's Rock Warehouse. We're going to talk about the only release by Wilson Hawk, an album that did not get a release on a hard copy CD. It was only able to be downloaded, but we're going to talk about it. It's one of Richie Kotzon's Richie Kotzen, who was in Poison many years ago and later was in Mr. Big, now is in the Winery Dogs. It's
Yep.
a project that he put out. So we're going to talk about that on Thursday, January 25th, and then January 28th, we're going to have on Grant's Rock Warehouse. A whole bunch of us are going to be on there, and he's going to have his weekly 2-hour show where he plays music from a certain era. We're going to talk about the AOR era, and we're all going to be on there taking questions and playing a few songs. So there you go.
There you go. All right. Now, as far as anything else that you can see me on upcoming, on Tim's Vinyl Confessions with Tim Durling, we recorded a show. Actually, I think he's releasing on the 29th. It is Grab Your Popcorn, because it's an epic, where we talk about 1994, our top 10 albums of 1994. So yeah, make sure you have a tub of popcorn, because it's a long show. And then look for it on Rock Daydream Nation. We had a big group of us talking about Decline of the Western Civilization, Part 2, The Metal Years. So that was another rather long chat as well, but there was like 7 of us on that thing. So that's something to look forward to. You can look for me on Rock Daydream Nation. I think he had just put out where he and I talk about the band Hurricane and the album Take What You Want. Yeah, I think that's, if there's something else that I was on that I can't remember, I apologize, because my brain's been a little scrambled lately. But yeah, this will go out, of course, Wednesday night as you are seeing this. Looking very much forward next week to talking about Hellbent for Leather, Killing Machine, however which way you want to call it. We're gonna have another special guest on that week. I'm not gonna mention him just yet, because I don't want to bang the drum too loudly, but maybe you'll get an idea. But anyway, I hope you guys like this. Please like, share, subscribe, like Jack's channel if you haven't. Do all the YouTube algorithm things. You know what to do. For John the Music Nut, for Jack Toledano, again, thank you so much for being
Thank you,
on the
Jack.
show,
Thank you
Jack.
for having me on, guys. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
tuning in. We'll see you next week when we deliver the goods, hopefully with some Hellbent for Leather. Until then, peace out. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Cheers.